Hey there, fellow wanderers. As you trudge along the cobbled streets of a medieval village, the night air clings to your skin thick with the scent of damp earth and curling wood smoke. Overhead, stars flicker faintly in the biting cold, while an owl hoots soft and distant, like a memory. Somewhere nearby, laughter spills from behind a crooked wooden door, mingled with the soft clink of clay mugs and the herbal haze of something not quite wine and not quite legal. This isn't fantasy, this is history. And no, you probably won't survive the night without losing track of time or space. So, before we drift further into the smoke of forgotten centuries, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the crackle of a medieval hearth. Let's begin. And remember, in medieval times, even escape came at a cost. You drift towards the dense thickets, where the air is cooler and the earth feels soft underfoot. The woods around the village hold secrets of their own, particularly the potent herbs that local wise women guard vigilantly against the roaming eyes of uninitiated hands. In this bygone era, knowing which plant could lull you into a peaceful sleep or lift your spirits during a long, dreary winter night was essential knowledge. Medieval people relied heavily on their senses, far more than we, submerged in our digital comforts, might ever imagine. A woman stirring a simmering concoction within her simple country kitchen might rely on the subtle fragrance of lavender to calm nervous minds, while a man returning from the fields might chew a sprig of basil as a simple way to invigorate his tired spirit. It's easy to romanticize these practices, but in reality, the line between healing and intoxication often blurred, with dire consequences for those who misjudged the balance. For every soothing balm of chamomile or dandelion, there lay the cautionary tales of those whose quests for escape became their downfall. Historians still argue whether the frequent use of opium poppies for pain relief was a boon or a bane to society. The buzzing debates echo through time, as scholars ponder the dependency that may have arisen from such practices. Imagine now, amid the flickering firelight and the constant hum of nighttime insects, the medieval person's life, a constant dance with nature's offerings. They hold dear the knowledge passed down through generations. The subtle art of harnessing these plants could mean the difference between well-being and illness, calm and chaos. A simple pinch of bitter valerian, expertly mixed with honey and water, soothes the restless soul, offering a gentle embrace that could lull anyone into a peaceful slumber. Yet it's important to remember, dear listener, that the medieval landscape wasn't as picturesque as Renaissance paintings might suggest. Here, wild with thorny brambles and untamed beasts, even the most seasoned herbalist must tread carefully, lest they fall prey to the wilder, unyielding forces embedded within this world. Hearing tales of olden days, you wonder what it must have been like to live in a time when these natural remedies were among the few luxuries available. If you listen closely, you might hear the distant echo of a playful jest shared between friends as they pass around a brew made potent through expert blending and familial tradition, a light-hearted moment in a time when laughter was often the best armor against a harsh world. So, before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin. And remember, in medieval times, even survival was a luxury. With each step, you take deeper into this exploration of medieval moods. The very air, a thick tapestry of memory, scent, and sound. You grasp the nature of reality that medieval people faced. It was a world where survival demanded more than strength. It required an intimate dance with the earthy apothecary that surrounded them. Over time, you will see how the ways of altering consciousness not only shaped personal experiences, but also wove into the broader cultural, social, and spiritual fabric of medieval life. As we march on together, let the curiosity guide you forward, leaving no stone unturned, no plant unexamined. you find yourself wandering further into the maze of plant lore, where the landscape is dotted with unassuming greenery, secretly bearing the power to alter minds and moods. These plants, revered and feared, were the subject of many whispered conversations over crackling fires in the damp chill of medieval nights. Imagine stepping into a dense thicket, where the sharp scent of crushed foliage clings to the heels of your boots. Here lies a patch of sinister beauty. Henbane, its pale yellow flowers edged in purple, looking almost mundane amidst the rugged underbrush. Yet, to the initiated, its presence carries a certain thriller knowledge that this plant could flick the consciousness between realms of reality and vivid hallucination with just a touch. Henbane wasn't alone in its notoriety. Its cousin, belladonna, also known as deadly nightshade, earned its dark reputation with grace and cunning. Its shiny black berries, deceptively sweet-looking, were the charm of fair maidens seeking to dilate their eyes, achieving what the medieval mind considered a lure. But proceed cautiously. The effects could turn perilous with merely a dose too much, a fact eagerly whispered amongst healers and poisoners alike. The fabled wisdom of the medieval herbalists, entrusted with this botanical power, paints an intriguing picture. Imagine them, cloaked in woven wool, their bags filled with roots and herbs, roaming the village perimeter in search of nature's most potent secrets. They skillfully prepared remedies for those daring or desperate enough to delve into altered states, mixing doses with an intuition honed by years under the sky's open watch. You chuckle slightly, picturing an anxious apprentice, learning the ropes, staring intently at dried henbane leaves, trying to remember just how many were safe for that sleep tea. Realizing that a misstep could mean lost reputations and worse, it's enough to make anyone's head spin. In fleeting moments of levity, the elder might jest, "Remember, 2 leaves draw dreams, 3 might find you shaking hands with the devil." Oh, beyond the herbalist's cautious exchanges, these botanical marvels wove into the fabric of medieval society in paradoxical ways. Conversational lulls in bustling market squares might bring hushed tales of witches' brews. Such concoctions, it was said, lent forth visions beyond the mortal realm, claim that stirred suspicion within church walls, and incited trials upon women accused of dark deeds beyond the understanding of common folk. Historians still argue whether these intoxicating plants were primarily used for medicinal purposes or if their role in leisure was more prominent. A lingering mystery threads through these academic discussions, a reminder of how complex and layered the narrative of plant use for altering minds truly was. In crafting these brews, the herbalists might add a pinch of cumin or a leaf of wormwood, changing both taste and potency personal touches based on lore passed down through generations. In peasants' homes, where life was hard and comforts few, the idea of a brief escape into a heady realm of tranquility had its allure, even if it came at a risk. Turn your mind's eye to the theatre of medieval village life, where families gathered around meagre fires as shadows danced upon rough-hewn walls. The weary voices of parents spun stories of yore to their children, hoping these tales would carry them to realms where knights vanquished dragons and common folk became heroes. Meanwhile, a cup of warm herbal tea, imbued with secrets of sage and subtle hints of saffron, eased them further into the night. Each plant held a history, a mixed legacy of healing and harm, an intimate connection between earth and humanity as a path to understanding the vast complexities of the human condition. The laughter shared by the fireside, the gentle teasing amid respected herbalists, and the curious beguilement of plants like henbane and belladonna, these wove together into the rich tapestry of medieval life. Remember that even today, the lore of these plants whispers through history's corridors, captivating modern audiences like yourself, evidence of nature's timeless intrigue. That's your cue, fellow wanderer, to pause for a moment and offer a nod to the delicate dance of nature and human spirit, the eternal quest for balance between the tangible and the ethereal. With each story, each plant, every magnetic draw of curiosity, you begin to see the medieval world not just as history, but as an ever-changing mystery revealing lessons on life and consciousness. So, take a deep breath and let the fragrant air of wild herb gardens carry you onward, deeper, through the unfolding narrative of medieval wonder. The chilling night air gently pushes you towards the towering stone structure of a medieval monastery, its silhouette outlined against the dim glow of a waning moon. The soft murmur of monks singing vespers calls you closer, drawing you into a world where time seems to slow, and the lines between earthly toil and spiritual devotion blur like the shadows gathered around you. Inside the thick stone walls, you find warmth and a subtle smell of sweet malt and spices. This is the realm of the monasteries, where the edges of the everyday world soften, giving way to sensory symphonies crafted by diligent hands. Monasteries were not only places of prayer and meditation, but were also critical centers of brewing a process that combined divine inspiration with earthly pleasures. Picture a robust monk, his hours split between chanting in the chapel and stirring a massive vat of proto-beer, known as gruit. His rosy-cheeked enthusiasm for the craft is palpable, even riveting, as he carefully selects herbs to add for flavor and mysterious potency. Juniper berries and wild yarrow are tossed into the mix, each contributing a unique twist of invigoration or tranquility to the concoction. While modern craft breweries boast of their novel recipes, these monks were the original brewmasters, perfecting the art of combining hops, spices, and grains well before such things were considered trendy. Their brews, enriched with anything from bog myrtle to wormwood, could range from gut-warming ales to concoctions that left those who drank them with a heady sense of euphoria, on occasion, a morning of profound regret. The echo of laughter from the alehouses spills into the night, carried by the wind along with the story of how these brews not only quenched the thirst of weary travellers, but played a pivotal role in sustaining village life. Monasteries quickly became known as more than just places of spiritual refuge. They were trusted havens where people could find warmth, camaraderie, and the occasional exceptional brew. You stop to imagine the nightly gatherings around a long wooden table, the tangle of whispered conversations draped over the quiet bubbling of another batch of ale, monks pouring their carefully crafted drink into battered tankards, nodding between sips at the flavoursome sweet, others with an aromatic bitterness that left the lips tingling. With each sip, the world outside full of demanding labours and unpredictable rulers melts away, replaced by a comforting sense of community and communion. The monks' skills were invaluable to the surrounding villages, not only keeping spirits high, but also providing a crucial source of nutrients, a liquid bread, essential during fasting periods where solid foods were limited. Though each batch ended up tasting a bit different depending on what herbs were plentiful at the time, the warmth and satisfaction it brought remained a constant comfort. Historians still argue whether the monks' brewing served strictly spiritual and nutritional purposes, or if their enthusiasm for experimentation was a nod to the more hedonistic potentials of their creations. Regardless of intent, the social and economic impact of monastic brewing on medieval Europe was undeniable, transforming the ale into not just a drink, but a cultural mainstay. Then there's the alchemy of spice cloves, cinnamon, and anise sensation triggering and joy-inducing. These were as much about enhancing flavors as testing boundaries of sensory delight. The slight buzz on the tongue turning after a few goblets into lively song and dance, trading stories of the saints for those of knights and faraway lands, a delightful mix of the profane and the sacred. Feet grounded on the worn stone floors, you can almost hear the vibrant discussions bubbling around you, warmed by the communal brew. The clinking of earthenware mugsnow, too quite the same, gentle reminder of the imperfect beauty of the world. Simple moments like these had the power to strengthen bonds and create stories that would last generations. As you retreat from the monastery, a space where human hands learn to translate nature's gifts into liquid poems, your mind holds onto the echoes of laughter and splashes of song. Monasteries had crafted more than just beverages. Within those stone walls, they had brewed havens of human connection. And now, stepping back into the cool night, you find yourself carrying not just stories of beers and ales, but whispering inspirations that invite you onward through the secrets and delights of this medieval world. As we journey further, let the aromas and memories of these enchanting brews bolster your wanderlust, propelling you into the next tale of medieval wonder. The alchemical heart of medieval Europe beats softly beneath layers of mystery and intrigue. As you wander into the once bustling marketplace, the air hangs heavy with the smell of sulphur and herbs, mingling with the earthy scent of parchment, the preferred medium of those who dared to reach beyond common knowledge. This is the secretive domain of alchemists, where the promise of transmuting base metals into gold seems like child's play compared to the art of concocting mystical elixirs. Picture a small, dimly lit workshop tucked away in a corner of burgundy stone buildings. Shelves lined with jars of curious powders and vials of enigmatic liquids gleam dully in the candlelight. Here, concoctions brewed not just to alter materials, but to shift states of mind, capturing the interest of those intrepid enough to seek their otherworldly effects. It is within these confines that the alchemist practices their craft, peering through the curling smoke, stirring brews with names lost to time, yet imbued with mystery. Rooted in the blending of science, magic, and philosophy, their art form is as symbolic as it is literal, with the ultimate goal being a union with the divine, the philosopher's stonier myth of cosmic significance. Imagine now the alchemists sweating over their bubbling apparatus, carefully combining ingredients while humming under their breath. They might toss in a pinch of powdered mandrake for heightened awareness, or steep vervain to boost courage and clarity. These potions promise to bring visions and insight, journeys into the mind's hidden chambers that few dared explore unaided. While the modern mind might dismiss these pursuits as folly, history records these practitioners as critical to the evolution of early chemistry and medicine. They were pioneers of spirituous exploration, drafting tantalizing recipes in the hidden ink of secrecy and caution. They sometimes courted accusation as sorcerers or charlatans, yet inexorably drew seekers from near and far in pursuit of their fabled tinctures. It's the alchemical balance, somewhere between science and spiritual awakening, that fascinates the medieval elite, the curious rulers who sought glimpses of the divine by proxy. They understood that the right combination of essences, carefully concocted, opened doorways between the mundane and the sublime. Even today, scholars debate whether this was true enlightenment or simply tricks of the mind, creating endless conversations on intentions versus outcomes. Picture the alchemist's journal, each page filled with precise measurements and cryptic symbols mixed with notes only they could unravel. These writings spoke of dreams born from the meld of root and mineral, of secret confirmations exchanged under moonlit shadow, stories woven with threads of what was possible and barely conceivable. The alchemist, with a subtle smile upon their lips, might offer you a taste of their latest creation. Bold adventurers, willing to chance reality's very fabric for the taste of insight, would sip from these concoctions a gulp, sending rippling curiosity coursing through their veins. Some found peace, a mental clarity, or a kaleidoscopic journey through their own consciousness. Others met confusion, a mishmash of vibrant hallucination that scattered their fragments of reality into a surreal tapestry. As you wander deeper into this world of medieval possibility, consider the role of the alchemists in this grand tapestry. Their secret recipes for elixirs, carrying the promise of elevating mind and spirit beyond the commonplace, struck contrast with the grounded, more medicinal use of remedies. It was art and science, dream and reality, truth and illusion, converging in fragile balancia, delicate dance, expressed through the delicate tipples of their trade. In the spaces between daydreams and deeper awakenings, these brewing intellectuals forged a path that brought alternative perspectives and challenges against conventional wisdom. So you might linger, picturing their faces lightly shadowed by the hoods of cloaks, dust from their experiments clinging to fingers scratched with ink, contemplating their next creation. As the misty evening settles over your thoughts, realize that these alchemists' contributions helped shape the medieval understanding of the mind's vast interior realms, leaving ripples that would continue to intrigue and inspire on both practical and magical levels. With that, let your inner alchemist guide your senses into the next chapter of stories that linger beyond the tangible, where the magic of the medieval world beckons with ancient whispers. As we move forward, know that history has been touched by these apostles of transformation, again and again, paving curious paths of enlightenment through the intricate weaves of time. As dawn breaks over the medieval landscape, you find yourself wandering into the sun-dappled fields of hemp, their tall and unassuming stalks swaying gently in the morning breeze. Among the many wonders that Mother Nature offered to medieval Europe, cannabis stood quietly yet significantly as a plant of many purposes, an unheralded companion to civilization's daily grind. Feel the warmth of the rising sun against your skin, the earthy smell of dew-kissed leaves invigorating your senses as you imagine the fields where cannabis grew ubiquitously, often without the fanfare or suspicion that surrounds it today. In this world, the plant's multifaceted virtues were well known and deeply woven into the social and economic fabric of life. Step closer and marvel at how medieval society found myriad uses for cannabis, from the utilitarian to the personal. Fibers from its stalks turned into robust rope and durable fabric-essential resources for ships that braved the open seas, and the clothes draping humble peasants and noble knights alike. The seeds provided sustenance, a source of nourishment during times when such reliability was a luxury. But what whispers to us now, reaching across centuries, is the subtle yet pervasive role cannabis played in altering states of consciousness. In quiet corners of apothecaries and hidden books of herbal lore, references to its use as a remedy for the aching joints of labourers and the troubled sleep of restless minds appear with understated regularity. Imagine a weary land-tiller returning home after sunset, the weight of toil heavy upon his shoulders. A small pipe awaits him, filled with dried leaves, providing a gentle lift that eases the day's burden and allows his mind to drift over the evening hearth's soft glow. The smoke curls upwards, a delicate dance of introspection and relief that accompanies personal reflection and conversations under the starry canopy. Cannabis, in its quiet role, occupies a space where herbal wisdom and folklore dance hand in hand. It's easy to picture whispers, exchanging hands in the flickering light of taverns' local remedies for stiff muscles, or a quick botanical fix to find a moment's peace amid the chaos. While the annals of history are less detailed on its recreational use, the patterns emerge under scrutiny woven within the cultural and spiritual practices where altered states played pivotal roles. Even the mystics and visionaries of the time might have looked to this plant as a way to deepen their meditations or connect with realms beyond. Historians still argue whether medieval Europeans fully understood or embraced cannabis's psychoactive properties. Some suggest that lines between medicinal and recreational use blurred as regional practices varied. One fact remains: its intrinsic value as a steadying force be it as rope, clothing, or calming tincture ensures that the plant remained a steady presence in the socio-economic landscape. Visualize the sturdy hands of an herbalist, combined with practiced knowledge passed down through interconnected generations, crafting oils and balms that soothed discomfort and promised ease. There, in their simple workshops, cannabis oils might be pressed and mixed with balms to be rubbed onto strained backs and aching hands. As the sun climbs higher, illuminating the fields with a golden touch, you feel an echo of their laughter and snippets of song carried across time. These early adopters nurtured the plant not as a made-for-television indulgence, but as a reliable ally, a testament to its versatility etched quietly into the annals of forgotten history. From the shipyards where sailors relied on hempen ropes to the farmers' fields and the healer's apothecary, cannabis subtly permeated life, enhancing it with the simple grace of practicality and gentle relief. The plant's narrative intertwines with the human one, leading us into realms of self-discovery whispered only by shadows. As evening approaches, and you tread away from this verdant expanse, listen closely to the undercurrent of stories whispering through the rustling leaves. Let the wisdom of the past, scented with reflections of hemp's simple and profound contributions, guide your journey onward. Our path leads next into the vast wilderness where mushrooms and hidden secrets beckon, promising further insights into the enigmatic world of medieval times. As dusk settles like a velvet cloak over the medieval landscape, your steps lead you into the shadow-dappled depths of an ancient forest. The air here is cool and thick, with the loamy scent of life unfurling in the undergrowth, a rich tapestry of silent stories whispered by the towering trees and the subtle rustling of leaves. This is where nature hides some of its most intriguing secrets, the wild fungi, mushrooms that blur the bounds between reality and dreams. Imagine lowering yourself to the earth, the dampness seeping through your fingertips as you brush aside decaying leaves to reveal a cluster of vivid toadstools, their caps gleaming with morning dew. The fungi of the forest were both sustenance and mystery to medieval wanderers' legendary entities, capable of luring the daring into heightened states beyond the ordinary reach of everyday life. Step cautiously as you weave deeper into the woods, where vibrant Amanita muscaria, their red caps speckled with white, stand as symbols in folklore, whispered to bridge worlds seen and unseen. These mushrooms carry an aura that invites curiosity and caution in equal measure, suggesting a gateway to otherworldly experiences for those willing to chance their enigmatic power. Envision a clandestine gathering at the forest's edge, figures huddled around campfires under the moonlit canopy. The air is alive with murmurs of the shamanic wisdom attributed to the fungi. For those wishing to commune with spirits or glimpse the unseeable, these mushrooms are potent allies, entwining themselves through stories of transformation and divine connection. In the tapestry of cultural practice, it's not hard to picture wise healers and mystics who wielded these fungi within ceremonial rites moments, woven with sacred intent to unlock the mysteries of existence itself. They wore the mantle of guides, shepherding participants gently through vivid landscapes of the mind where myth intertwines with waking life. Yet the allure of these mushrooms wasn't solely for the mystical arts. In villages hugging the fringes of these dark woods, stories abound of revelers seeking more earthly escapadeza. Night of laughter unrestrained, senses unhindered by the anchor of reason. Historians still argue whether medieval Europeans widely recognized the psychoactive potential of mushrooms, as references in literature appear sparingly. However, one cannot entirely dismiss the folklore embedded deeply in society's fabric, hinting at acknowledgement of their enchanting properties. Visualize now a seasoned forager, bent with age, yet spry and bright-eyed, strolling through this bedroom of the forest, equipped with knowledge emanating from an intricate lineage of survival and wisdom. They gather what some consider nature's treasures, carefully discerning between what could bring wisdom and what might spell danger. An intoxicating blend of risk and reward sat quietly, unseen by most but vivid in tales shared around the village feria. Crooked storyteller weaving together threads of tall tales with the smattering of truth. Maybe it was that occasional reckless soul who danced too close to these forest spectres, who returned with wide eyes full of enchanting stories, stretching the bounds of belief. Keep in mind that while some returned inspired, others found madness carded into vivid threads, unraveling their sense of self. A delicate balance of power and folly governed this world where the dream and waking mind met. As you rise from the forest floor, brushing off the leaves clinging to your clothes, the evening sky grows darker still, wrapping the woods in shadows that hum with a promise of untold stories. The earthy odors of the forest and the mysteries it conceals become a gentle reminder of the boundaries between known and unknown, inviting you to pause and ponder. Walking onwards, under the forest canopy, the fungi's legacy becomes an echo of ever-shifting intersectionality between nature's call and human curiosity, between the seen and unseen realms of consciousness. Let this wisdom, seeping from earth to soul, guide you forward as we delve deeper into tales of medieval intoxication. Our next destination, the complex world of medieval winemaking, where spices turn a simple beverage into something extraordinary, teasing the senses and inviting exploration beyond mere sustenance. Holding a wry smile and a curious heart, we journey on through this intricate mosaic of medieval indulgence. Beneath a sweeping sky, you find yourself drawn to the rolling vineyards and clustered hamlets of the medieval countryside, where grapevines lace the landscape in orderly rows. The autumn air, crisp and tinged with the scent of fermenting fruit, beckons you to the heart of winemaking, a timeless craft, intertwined with the rhythms of the land and the passage of centuries. Imagine the bustling activity of a harvest day. Winemakers, their hands stained by the grape's deep hues, bustle about tirelessly. They hold within their grip not just the fruits of the vine, but an age-old tradition of enhancing their wines with the vibrant, aromatic spices of distant lands. This alchemical art transforms simple libations into infused potions that warm the soul and invigorate the mind. As you wander closer, the heady mix of cinnamon, cloves, and elderflower wafts across the vineyard's chilled expanse, inviting your senses to dance. The merchants' stalls nearby boast mounds of freshly ground spices, each one a whisper of foreign shores. It's here, nestled between barrels and market banter, you witness the intricate ritual turning ordinary wine into something opulently exotic, a practice enjoyed especially during the feasts and revelry of the long medieval evenings. In this imaginative stretch of history, monks, adept at the dual roles of fermenter and confecter, often led the charge in crafting these aromatic brews. The blend of wine and spice carried more than just flavor. It held the promise of escape, the allure of adventure imaginably transported through time to far-off lands where spices sparked fantasies. The addition of nutmeg or star anise swirled through the old tavern rooms, their aromas mingling with laughter rising from timber benches. Here, the flicker of torches and candle lights whisper promises of exotic tales and spirited exploits. The spiced brew flowed with warmth reflected in the cheeks of those gathered together, bolstered by the rosy glow of conviviality. And yet, within this marbled practice, you sense the same wariness that accompanied other means of intoxication during such times. The combined effects of alcohol and potent spices rendered the ordinary evening uncharted once night deepened, awakening both tales of revelry and cautionary songs warning against indulgence. The songs were reminders that a careless slip into excess could sour the evening's enchantment. Historians still argue whether these spices were added primarily for preservation, flavor, or the desire to seek broader horizons through sensory experiences. While their primary purpose shifted as readily as the shadows through a castle's curtains, there's no denying the cultural impact this practice had across medieval Europe. Picture yourself standing aside as the winemaker raises an earthenware mug filled with this spiced concoction, toasting to the myriad of experiences that lie cloaked within each sip, earthy flavors and spicy warmth mingling until lines between reality, dreams, and memories might blur into fractal, reclined into mirthful chatter. In these medieval villages, it wasn't just about the drinking. It was about unfurling human connection. Through shared cups and tales rippling in the autumn wind, it was a chance to forget, even just for a moment, the steady grind of everyday life's hardship. A chance to be nimble with laughter, loose with song and ephemeral, grasp at a connection both profound and carefree. As the sky above fades into twilight, you catch wind of a song carried by voices thickened by drink-a-tune, familiar yet altered by the playful impact of heightened spirits. With each lilting note, you sense how spirits softened hearts and unwound stories until reluctant endings bled into starlit silence. So as you step back from this fragrant tableau, the stories shaped here promise enchantment, beckoning you onto new medieval tales of humor, revelation, and perhaps a hint of folly. Our path continues, weaving between history's blends of textures and tastes, to the privileged chambers, where the art of distillation refines potency, and power where the art of capturing spirits takes on both a literal and metaphorical meaning. Still engaged with wanderlust, let your senses guide you forward through the next tapestry. With the fading echo of vineyard laughter behind you, the medieval landscape shifts towards the rustic grandeur of bygone manors and the hushed interiors of castle keeps. Here lies the domain of refinement and excess, where the ancient art of distillation, a process that captures the very essence of nature, began to unravel its mysteries for those privileged enough to wield its power. The footfalls of your journey draw you to the castle's heart, where courtyards brim with tactile richness under the pale morning mist. Servants bustle about, arms laden with bundles of herbs and fragrant wood, preparing for the secretive ritual within. Beyond the bustling activity lies the alchemist's chamber, where distilled spirits whisper the promise of prestige and privilege, a craft reserved for the powerful few who understand its promise. Feel the fire's warmth as it crackles beneath a copper still, an imposing contraption that gleams with the heat and buzzes with potential. The alchemist, cloaked in the remnants of night's shadow, leans in intently, measuring and mixing according to ancient recipes etched in scrolls. The delicate art of distillation, of drawing purity from the base elements, not only captures spirits but embodies aspiration. You gaze in wonder at the spectrum of glass bottles lining shelves, some filled with crystalline clarity, others swirling with opalescent hues. Within these vessels lies a potent promiser distillation not only of substances but of experience and indulgence, a manual alchemy slowly emerging from whispers to tactile presence. The art of distillation, with roots stretching back to ancient Alexandria, found heightened expression among medieval elites who eagerly adopted these techniques not just for spirits but for perfumes and medicines. In the medieval cerebral, this alchemy transformed roses into aromatic waters and ordinary grains into intoxicating elixirs. Picture now the preparations for a resplendent feast, where distant lords and ladies gather under a tapestry of glittering chandeliers. The clink of goblets and wafting steam hints at rich boars turning over spits, but it's the distillant that captures curiosity lifted in toast, reflecting both candlelight and social standing in its crystalline depths. The transition from robust ale to refined spirits marked a distinct shift within the social and cultural frameworks of medieval life. A sip for the elite hinted at power, at their ability to harness nature's essences in pursuit of both luxury and enlightenment. Yet, it was also a harbinger of excess. Historians still argue about the implications of distillation's introduction to Europe. Was it merely a chemical curiosity, or did it signify a greater leap in both social and philosophical thought, every bottle a testament to the blurry boundary between mortal and divine knowledge? Around the feast's edge, jovial conversations meander through the air. Nobles lightly jest as they savor each distilled drop, pondering the clear liquid's attributes and indulging in its transformative allure. Spirits, in their purified forms, become vessels of ideas and tangents, easily carrying minds wandering into philosophical and artistic musings. In the shadowy alcoves where laughter forms the wall's embrace, you cannot help but see the elegant juxtaposition of wisdom and whimsy twining of canvas woven by gods and humans, a saucy mix of naughty lore and whispered ambitions. As you step back, with the rich history of craftsmanship glimmering in your thoughts, the fans of your mind find themselves flared with echoes of grandeur and forgotten wisdoms. The tendrils of essence and experimentation that sprouted these spirits leave their traces as you press onward into the tapestry of human experience, a world where intoxication and revelation interlace seamlessly. Our tale moves forward, as we navigate through the legal tangles of society's gaze on substance each step, illuminating the dichotomies of right and wrong, propriety and pleasure. The path before us beckons, drawing curiosity onward into the night's embrace, offering another chapter in the captivating scroll of history. With excitement simmering, let your heart's tempo quicken as you travel further into this narrative, devoid of script but overflowing with story. As your journey through the medieval night continues, the cobbled streets beneath your feet transform into the bustling heart of a town. Here, the rhythmic clank of hammers against anvils echoes through narrow alleys, blending with the fragrant medley of spices and smoke wafting from open-air taverns. This town, teeming with life and energy, is where public perception and regulation of mind-altering substances dance an intricate tango, half concealed, half in plain view. Imagine navigating through the lively marketplace, where boisterous vendors ply their wares, eager to attract the coin of peasants and merchants seeking respite from their daily labors. It's here, amid the clamor of commerce, that the awareness of intoxicating substances quietly pulsates, a legal and moral labyrinth, navigated through rumor, tradition, and sometimes fear. You move toward the town's bustling square, a crossroad of ideas and decisions. The church looms nearby, both as a moral compass and a stalwart monitor of societal behavior. It's in this tightly woven tapestry, a world of shifting allegiances and evolving laws, that we glimpse the personal and public dichotomy surrounding substances used to soothe and to escape. Within the marketplace's murmurs, whispers weave about certain herbs and concoctions. Some savor these offerings as noble medicinal aid. Others demonize them as diabolic distractions. The clergy, cloaked in authority and skepticism, often preach against such indulgences, a stern reminder of the sins born from pleasure unmoderated. The lawa, slippery, evolving entity, has made attempts to delineate boundaries. Local edicts shift like the seasons, attempting to strike a balance between freedom and control. Some townships are rigid, enforcing restrictions on the brewing and sale of spirits to curb what they perceive as societal decay. Others bask in leniency, letting revelry run its course, so long as it feeds the coffers of their rulers. Historians still argue over the extent of medieval regulations on mind-altering substances. Were the laws designed purely for control, Or did they also reflect genuine fear of the unknown depths such experiences unlocked? These questions linger across time, tangled in a web of cultural and historical narrative. You imagine an imposing town crier, his voice carrying laws across cobbled domains, while watchful eyes peering from under hoods drawn low listen from the shadows. By nightfall, admonishments dissolve into laughter, and the line between law and liberation becomes delightfully blurred by candle-warmed spirits. At the town inn, tankards clink beneath the shadowy beams, and festive melodies slip out through weathered shutters. Within this spirited hum, discussions meander through tales of civic limitations and creative defiance mocking tales of traders bribing officials to ease off anti-ale decrees, or mere peasants inventing curious ways to conceal their fumbling attempts at homemade brews. The blending aromas of hops and juniper tease your senses, reminding you that just beneath the surface lay stories of those who fiercely guarded their right to choose their corporeal compass. For every adjudicated restraint, there existed those whose whispered tales, shared over a clandestine cup, dissolved restrictive definitions of right and wrong. As night deepens, you imagine the reflection of moonlit liberations in secret garden gatherings or twilight escarpments, where dance and stories spun from the knowledge that freedom may be curtailed but rarely constrained. In this world, elusive and ephemeral, the spirit of resistance and adaptation flows through the veins of those free-spirited enough to chart their own course. Moving onward, towards the sequined velvet of evening's embrace, the whisper of life's magic steps, besides you, a gentle reminder of humanity's ceaseless desire to explore, question, and sometimes escape. The laws and liberties of medieval intoxication weave their textures around your journey, shaping realities in their wake. And now, as the path ahead beckons, the wanderlust calling threads draw you toward different lands where variations in practice and perception color the rich tapestry of substance exploration. In this next chapter, European nuances await our tale, adding dimension to this wondrous medieval mosaic. With excitement as your guide and history's embrace as your map, onward we tread through the night's eternal story. As you continue your journey through the vibrant veins of medieval towns, the night wraps you in its velvety cloak, guiding you toward whispers of human nature's inspiring complexities. Imagine yourself moving through the intricate fabric of society's attitudes towards mind-altering substanceisa, multidimensional tapestry, threaded with perspectives varying widely between admiration and admonishment. In the dim glow of torch-lined streets, where shadows dance playfully, you sense the underlying currents of judgment and acceptance, each influencing how people approached their fleeting moments of reprieve. Here, social conventions and whispered opinions carry considerable weight, coloring the interactions and perceptions of individual choices. Picture a lively tavern at the heart of town, its door swinging open to release bursts of laughter and chatter into the cool night air. Within its warm embrace, a gathering of diverse souls merchants, artisans, travelers engage in the age-old tradition of storytelling. Glasses clink, and earthy wines flow alongside tales as textured as the aged wood beneath them. For some, the use of intoxicating plants and brews is a harmless nod to personal freedom and the pursuit of joy. Their effects were seen as convivial companions for social bonding and merriment moments where barriers dissolved and friend and stranger alike could share in the camaraderie of being wondrously, fallibly human. Yet, within this circle of merriment, there remain the wary gazes of those who caution against indulgence. Their skepticism, wrapped in the stories of lost fortunes and wasted lives, echoes warnings against tipping the balance too far towards visceral gratification. The spectrum of beliefs broadens like the many paths of the world itself, each one inked with its share of heroes' journeys and tragic flaws. Weaving through the conversations, the subject of moral rectitude becomes vibrant with irony, as stories emerge of those railing against their own choices when casting disapproving eyes on indulgence, while later evading judgment through their secretive sips. Historians still argue how deeply these dualities influenced daily life, whether societal pressures upheld reform and restraint or inadvertently fueled a counterculture of quiet rebellion. Imagine now, retreating from the intoxicating hum of social gatherings to quieter walks along moonlit garden paths. The fragrant air is imbued with the earthiness of blooming florals, offering refuge to thinkers and ponderers. Here, society's luminaries engage in debates as rigorous as they are reflective, questioning the morality of pleasure and the wise stewardship of their own mental landscapes. These garden wanderers, both scholars and commoners, ponder deeply, coy echoes of the Socratic method unraveling into the night as they attempt to navigate life's balance between reason and rapture. Their musings, matched only by starlight's clarity, lend richness to the intellectual climatea, reminder that even the whims of pleasure are punctuated by questions that reach for meaning. Within these thoughtful exchanges, bones of contention form. Is the pursuit of altered states a surrender to inner chaos, or a sacred exploration of the soul's bounds, spaces where new understandings might blossom? And how does this transformative dance fit into the moral framework of faith, community, and personal integrity? Your thoughts drift back to the tavern's lively cacophony, where jesters command the heart of the room with gregarious tales, offering laughter as medicine against life's harsher shadows. In these shared moments of vulnerability, the pulse of communal humanity hums its universal songone that traverses epochs, reminding us that the quest for joy is as integral to the human condition as air itself. As the evening deepens, you catch glimpses of individual stories, each intertwining perspectives that define the symphony of human experience. From flashes of wistful stares into untouched goblets to whispers of exciting dreams swirling like smoke into the rafters, the beauty of shared lives and lessons glows softly against the evening's curtain. So, as the tapestry's richness unfolds, let these intertwined threads of perception and reality guide your wandering feet along paths of discovery. The journey ahead explores the heart of Europe, where regional variations and cultural syncretism create a manifold mosaic, each hue adding depth to our exploration of medieval minds and the enchantments they sought. With anticipation as your ally, allow curiosity and inspiration to lead the way through these intricate corridors of history, knitting together the narratives within each step. Ready your soul as the night continues to gift. Stories spun from shadows and light singular, vast and extraordinary in their unfolding. The night deepens as you find yourself tracing a path across the diverse terrains of medieval Europe, from the gentle slopes of Italy's vineyards to the misty moors of the British Isles, each region whispering its tales of mind-altering practices, as unique as the landscapes themselves. With each step, the cool air carries hints of lavender and rosemary, mingled with the distant aromas of spices drifting from lands beyond the horizon. In this journey, you delve into the continental differences, where the eclectic nature of European culture fosters a colourful array of approaches to enhancing the mind. As you traverse these regions, you find yourself weaving through the delicate tapestry of local traditions and beliefs that shape perceptions of substances and their usage. Start your journey in the sun-drenched hills of Italy, where the art of winemaking reigns supreme. The Italian penchant for crafting exquisite wines is legendary, and here, grapes not only serve as a source of sustenance, but as a pathway to divine inspiration. Imagine sitting at a rustic table under the arbor, the vines heavy with fruit, while a vintner expertly blends his elixirs with lemon balm and thyme to create a brew that invigorates the spirit and elevates the senses. The air is abuzz with the sounds of village life, laughter bubbling up from piazzas where communal gatherings unfold under the Mediterranean sun. In Italy, wine drinking is deeply embedded in the social and cultural fabric, a fluid companion to art, philosophy, and spirited debate. As you sip from your earthenware cup, you sense the centuries-old tradition unfolding within, transforming each sip into a dance between history and present indulgence. Heading into the heart of Europe, the cool forests of Germany and the surrounding lands offer their own distinct tales. Here, monastic breweries produce potent ales that quench the thirst of travelers and townsfolk alike. Picture yourself standing by a wooden barrel, its frothy contents infused with mugwort, delivering an earthy bitterness with every gulp. An ale crafted not just to be drunk, but to be experienced. In these lands, beer is more than mere refreshment. It's a reflection of communal ties and an invitation to join in spirited conversation. Often enjoyed during festivals or after a day's hard labor, these brews bring people together in celebration of life's simple pleasures. It's a symphony of cheer, of clinking mugs and boisterous songs, each note a celebration of vitality and community. Turning your attention westward, the mists of the British Isles hug the land like an ethereal cloak. In this damp and verdant territory, traditions intertwine with practicality. Mead and cider flow freely, sweetened with honey and currants, a balm for the chilled bones of both peasant and lord. Envision a gathering in a cozy alehouse, where tales of ancient heroes blend with sips of rich amber liquid, its warmth a shield against the brisk night air. These libations reflect the Celtic influence, an ancient echo of nature's bounty offered as grace and guardianship. Yet, in the stillness of the night, there arises an understanding that even as these drinks provide solace and courage, they also serve as a gentle reminder of life's delicate balancier, balance that dances gracefully on the edge of indulgence and mindfulness. Throughout these regions, historians still argue over the extent of regional integration and the impact on local customs. Were the exchanges of herbs and spices purely economic, or did they reveal deeper cultural syntheses, evidenced by the blending of traditions within enhancing experiences? No journey through medieval Europe would be complete without a nod to the influence of the Norse and their raw ethereal connection to nature. You picture their seafaring exploits fueled by ale, brewed thick and potent, mead honeyed to fortify courage, sung to the cadence of ancient sagas on distant shores. For these intrepid explorers, beverages were more than sustenance, they were rites of passage. This regional odyssey across Europe woven, with the myriad flavors of local libations and mind-altering arts, offers a tapestry that expands your understanding of a world rich in diversity and discovery. Each sip and every shared moment among regions reveal a conscientious exploration of the senses, cherished traditions steeped in time. As you pull away from the vibrant fold of Europe's luscious embrace, know that these passages through culture and perception only serve to deepen the intrigue and wonder that propel you forward. The narrative bends next towards a realm where herbal wisdom encounters fear, and witchery where the alchemical botanists tread cautiously between reverence and peril. So journey forth, wanderer, with your soul attuned to the whispers that fit together a mosaic of enchanting stories, each as vivid and distinct as the lands from which they sprung. Within, you'll find a path bordered by revelations yet to unfold. The path turns away from regional diversions, leading you to the tucked-away spaces where medieval Europe's women become the custodians of both healing and mystery. Their unique knowledge of herbs, wrapped in equal parts respect and fear, created an invisible but powerful undercurrent, the intersection of women and witchcraft, a cautionary tale woven throughout history. Picture yourself moving through a small village where the soft sounds of nature merge with human whispers. The village is alive with the bustling activities of daily life, a place where secrets are kept in the hearts of those wise women known for their curative skills, and sometimes whispered to walk the thin line between nature's healing and perceived sorcery. In the dimly lit confines of a thatched cottage, you observe a knowledgeable woman, her hands deftly sorting through sprigs of lavender, chamomile, and willow bark. These women, healers and midwives, are repositories of herbal wisdom that has been passed down through generations. Their skills, based on empirical knowledge and learned intuition, provide relief and comfort to their communities. Their arts, however, are not without risk. In times where misfortune and fear ruled lives, superstition thrived as intensely as belief. Tales of witchcraft hung in the air, somewhere between imagination and perceived reality, painting an unsettling picture in which these women dynamically moved. Perceptions of magic, half understood and half feared, could swiftly turn respect into accusations, whispers of witchery, or consorting with dark forces. You witness a scene unfold, the careful concoction of a soothing balm, crafted to ease aching joints or lull an anxious child into sleep. For some, these potions are a testament to divine providence, an embodiment of natural grace. Yet, for others swayed by naive suspicion, they may be seen as the tools of sorcery wrought by women working under the veil of night. Imagine a scene of candlelit confessions, where society's anxieties spill from tight-lipped prayers into the folds of nightly stories. The church, ever vigilant against deceit and devilry, becomes a convoluted arbiter of justice, seeking to delineate genuine grace from deception cloaked in feminine intuition. While many historians argue over interpretations of these witch hunts as tools of patriarchal control versus genuine fear of the unknown, it is recognized how these fears spiraled into persecution. The accused women stood trial for navigating their roles within the spiritual and mundane, delicate dance of reverence and survival, conducted under the scrutiny of a society unsure of their gifts and how they fit within the natural order. Imagine their quiet fortitude as they navigated the shadows of both healing and suspicion, crafting remedies that offered solace to their communities, even as they remained wary of the oscillating tides of fortune. Amid wildflowers and spells, their spirits witnessed time's relentless passage, bordered by respect and overshadowed by fear. Yet they persevered, moving within the fabric of community life, sharing knowledge of the curative properties of herbs such as sage for clarity, rosemary for memory, and artemisia to ward off malady. Through their whispered wisdom, they connected past with present, nature with nurture, humanity with hope. Recognize this, that these wise women, whether recognized as healers or accused as witches, were intimately connected with the natural world, tapping into the vibrant tapestry woven by the complexity of medieval culture. They understood the strength bestowed within every leaf and root they gathered their botanical legacy, permeating history's narrative with whispers both potent and gentle. And as your journey aligns with the echoes of their ancient steps, allow their tale to weave into your understanding of the delicate interplay between belief and doubt, wisdom and fear. So venture forward, intrigued wanderer, with the realization that the past is continually unfolding its secrets, urging us toward deeper understanding. The path unfurls now towards captivating stories within ink and parchment, where medieval literature teems with references to these forgotten journeys, where tales of plant and potion hint at the dreams and realities of those who lived in this world's embrace. Follow, where the words help light the way with voices from another time, resonating still in the heart of today. As the parchment of history unfolds, you wander into the enchanting realm where ink and quill transform the world's mysteries into the textured stories of the bard's Balm. Here, in the dim glow of candlelit scriptoriums and libraries, you find medieval literature narratives rich with allusion and allegory, where references to mind-altering substances quietly spool through tales like an unseen thread weaving through a tapestry. Imagine stepping into a monastic library, the cool, musty air filled with the scent of aged paper and beeswax. The quiet rustle of turning pages creates a rhythm, while the flickering candlelight casts shadows that dance along austere stone walls. Within this sanctuary of knowledge, scribes labor over manuscripts books that transcend mere storytelling, embedding within their words echoes of society's past and the intricate dances of human thought and experience. Pause to examine the illuminated margins of a painstakingly crafted manuscript. There they are, fanciful illustrations of mythical creatures cavorting amidst swirling Venisa nod to hallucinogenic visions incited by fungi and herbs. The imagery hints at the ethereal and the mystical, offering a window into the medieval mindset, where imagination stretched towards both dream and apprehension. Literary works from across Europe reflect society's burgeoning curiosity and caution towards these substances. Pilgrimages and quests documented in tales like the Canterbury Tales sporadically touch upon ale and wine, while Beowulf weaves narratives around mead's potent grip. These texts, whether focused on heroic exploits or moral quandaries, subtly acknowledge the substances that lubricated conversations and societal bonds alike. Within the tapestry of romance and chivalry, you find the forgotten song of the troubadours, whose verses filled royal courts with woven tales of love and brave conquests. The escapades narrated to courtswear, prophecies were possibly inspired by exhilarating visions enriched by allusions to strange brews and concoctions that map psychic terrains unknown to sober minds. Historians still puzzle over cryptic references and elusive allegories, debating whether they hint at genuine practices or reflect merely a narrative device. Does the mention of enchanted potions in Arthurian legends speak to literal truths, or do they embellish quests for symbolic purposes, signifying the internal battles waged by knights in the pursuit of honor and virtue? Moreover, medieval playwrights touched on themes like moral folly or transcendence, using substances not only to entertain, but to explore human nature's deeper layers. The interplay of divinely inspired madness and base folly would unfold through characters driven to erratic schemes, apparent in works where folly dances on the precipice of oblivion. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the bard regaling his audience at an inn, his words a bridge between reality's vivid starkness and the imagination's limitless expanse. His tales elicit laughter, awe, and reflection, as patrons sip from vessels filled with ale or spiced wine, their contentment mirrored in the fiery glow of the hearth. These storytellers, captured in text, not only entertain, but weave subtle reflections of their contemporary world's complexities. By placing emphasis on the effects, rituals, and after-effects of indulgence, they remind listeners of the eternal human quest for understanding and occasional flight from the very essence of life itself. Yet remember, beneath the bard's lyrical facade lies a nuanced layer painted in shadows and light, revealing society's dual nature, the yearning to soar above the mundane and the compulsion to heed morality's call. Through narrative, audiences engaged in self-reflection, prompted by tales of folly, arrogance, and wisdom born of hindsight. As dust settles upon ancient scrolls, let your imagination reignite the inscriptions that hold text and subtext. See how the bard's balm lulls readers and listeners alike into pondering the delightful and disturbing complexities of life, deeply enriched by enigma. With this newfound insight simmering within, it's time to step back into the narrative flow, where tales of transformation and longing braid together the delicacies of belief and indulgence. Ahead unfolds a discussion on the Church's evolving stance on the mind's liberatione, reflection of divine guidance or stern denunciation, another chapter in the vibrant narrative tapestry awaiting discovery. Stepping from the world of medieval literature, enriched with tantalizing hints of the ethereal, your path winds toward the solemn and towering presence of the Church. These grand stone edifices, with their intricate stained glass and sonorous choral echoes, serve as both spiritual havens and stern arbiters of morality. Within these walls, where the air feels cool and cloaked in incense, the Church's views on heaven or heresy narrate a complex dance between divine grace and human desire. Imagine standing at the fringes of a cathedral cloister, the distant murmur of sacred chants folding around you as a gentle breeze rustles the high arches overhead. It's within this sacred space that the Church encapsulates humanity's yearning for divine understanding, interwoven with the intricate weave of sin and salvation. The role of the Church in shaping thoughts on mind-altering substances is deeply nuanced. As the principal authority on matters spiritual and moral, it navigates a path carefully poised between offering guidance and exercising control over its flock. The faithful's occasional indulgence, be it through wine at communion or herbs used in remedy-raised questions of piety and temptation, intentionally subdued hues of stained glass filter sunlight into pools of colored contemplation. And it's here you imagine the rigorous debates that ensue among theologians, their voices, straddling the line between ascetic purity and human frailty, weigh heavily as they discuss spiritual transcendence against the backdrop of earthly desires granted by nature's nectar. Wine holds a sacred place within this discourse, revered as a symbol of divinity while acknowledged as an earthly indulgence that demands stringent moderation. The fact that it facilitates both sacramental communion and secular inebriation captures the essence of the Church's ambivalence. The dual nature of this liquid bridges the divine and the profane, a metaphor incarnate within the chalice rimmed with liturgical solemnity. Beyond wine, the Church's focus extends to herbal laurea realm, marked by remedial and mystical properties. While acknowledging the medicinal benefits endowed by God's creation, ecclesiastical authorities remain wary of substances perceived to extend beyond healing into realms of magic and prophecy. Tales of saints who fasted, who abstained, and who glimpsed the divine in states of ecstasy underscore this tension, further complicating the path to knowledge and enlightenment. Historians still argue about the motivations behind the Church's fluctuating stance, whether a reflection of pure faith or an endeavor to regulate the persuasions of power. Imagine a medieval congregation, weary from toil and seeking solace within sacred architecture. They listen intently to passionate sermons, warning against the slippery slope of indulgencia, pious endeavor to salvage souls amid earthly temptation's omnipresent dalliance. In darker corners of belief, whispered tales twist more menacing narratives, where suspicions of heresy tangle with fear of the unknown. Rooted deeply in ecclesiastical doctrine is the caution against practices deemed unnatural, conjoining the punishment of the soul with rites that were misunderstood, yet often spiritually sought. Yet amid these admonishments echoes a hopier desire to transcend mortal constraints and forge a pathway toward greater understanding of divine love. For just as the Church condemns excess, it also extends its doctrine towards unity with creation and the garden from whence these enigmas spring. Visualize now a monk, steadfast and contemplative, penning scrolls on theological deliberations. His writings weave gravity with grace, each stroke of his quill an attempt to carve clarity through celestial and terrestrial complexities. This complexity, aligned with faith, colors his tapestry of belief, ever aware of the fragile human soul navigating the corporeal maze. With the sun's descent casting elongated shadows across the stone floor, you step back from the church's embrace, holding fast to the discourse it offered. It's a reminder of how institutions shape the narrative of indulgence within spirituality, how interpretations leave indelible marks on human understanding. In this passage to reflection, turn your steps to the tales of excess that populated legends. Revelations of grand feasts and indulgent overindulgence stand ready to unfold against the backdrop of austere arches and whimsical indulgence. The stories ripple forward, a testament to liberty embraced and tamed, weaving ever onward into this enthralling medieval tale. As night falls yet deeper over the medieval world, you find yourself drawn into the enticing glow of hearth fires and the spirited camaraderie of feasting halls. It is here, in these spaces brimming with laughter and song, that urban legends of overindulgence come to life, a grand tapestry woven from tales of revelry and the notorious figures who embraced excess with a zest that bordered on legend. Imagine a sprawling banquet hall, where the echoes of clinking goblets and boisterous laughter create a lively symphony against the castle's stone walls. Tables are adorned with an extravagant display, roasted meats and sugared fruits, rounds of bread fresh from the oven, and wines that glimmer ruby and gold in the flickering candlelight. Your gaze shifts to the gathered crowd, a vibrant mixture of nobility and commoners alike, drawn together by the age-old lure of fellowship and festivity. Each face tells a story, and within each story lies a kernel of truth, sprinkled liberally with the dust of myth. Within these halls, tales are spun of legendary revelers, whose antics provide both entertainment and cautionary lessons. Notable among them are figures like the infamous Sir John Oldcastle, who is whispered to have consumed copious amounts of ale with a devil-may-care attitude that defied convention. His name echoes through the tavern's rafters, cradled in both admiration and admonishment, celebrated as much for his audacity as for his eventual fall from grace. The tales of royal courts are equally as colourful, where the excesses of kings and queens become veritable festival lore. Imagine King Henry VIII, whose formidable feasts were as legendary as his appetites, not only for food and drink, but for the pleasures they incited, delighting in opulence that was both magnetic and feared. In these abundant narratives of indulgence, historians still argue over the degrees of truth versus embellishment, whether these accounts serve merely as moral tales wrapped in cloth of gold embellishments, or reflect genuine episodes of merriment that stepped boldly across the line of moderation. Picture agora-like gatherings within bustling towns teeming with life, where the firelight plays across stone courtyards, reflecting in the eyes of those sharing goblets of mulled wine spiced to perfection. Within these spaces, the local tavern tales unfurl tales of extravagant guests who turned village inns into arenas where stories were told, sung, and relived until they became legend. A bard stands at the center, eagerly recounting episodes of lavish indulgences where drunkards sway and jest, their laughter rising through the wooden rafters. As one by one the cups empty and time draws back the curtain on dreams, the gathered savour the narrative spun from mirthful excess and exploration of life's permissible edges. Yet, amid such revelries, the narrative turns its gaze towards spirals of madness that chase excess when gluttony surpasses inhibition. These exaggerated tales straddle the razor's edge between jocularity and tragedy, reminders that excessive indulgence rarely escapes without cost. You find yourself reflecting on these gatherings, where minds untethered by spirits allowed for creativity, unfettered, songs unbound by restraint, and a courage to venture thoughts beyond rigid decorum. Here, within the tales of grandeur and glamour, the spark of life's brevity is kindled an eloquent reminder of the delicate equilibrium between freedom and folly. In the soft glow of this insight, step back and take in the opulence reflected across these layered narratives. Allow yourself to delight in knowing that these stories, told with playful grandeur, support a fascinating contrast to medieval austerity echoes of humanity's ceaseless delight in revelry, ever striving to embrace the joys of living. Your journey veers now toward tales of substance in the theatre of Wara, new perspective, adding depth to our exploration of the medieval mind. This chapter widens into a realm where substances offered courage and chaos among tumult, each sip or dose a step beyond comprehension. Attuned to history's rhythm, stride onward curiosity, lighting your way through these ever-unfolding chronicles. As your exploration into medieval life unfolds, you find yourself drawn toward the austere fields of battle, where the air is thick with the charged tension of impending conflict. In this scene, substances in battle reveal their dual nature, offering both courage or chaos amidst the arduous clamor of war and the grim realities faced by those who lived and died by the sword. The brisk morning air carries the scent of earth and iron, mingled with the smoky resonance of campfires as soldiers gather. The clutched leather straps of armor creak with each movement, and the low, steady rumble of hooves sets the stage for the day's trials. Here, beneath banners that snap crisply in the wind, you sense the tangible thrum of anticipation and fear. Take a moment to consider the mindset of the medieval warrior, his life poised on the shifting ground between honor and survival. As battle loomed, some turned to the comforts of brew and herb, seeking solace, courage, or a retreat from the harrowing edge of mortality. With goblets or horns passed from comrade to comrade, liquid courage promised the fortification of spirit needed to charge into the maelstrom of clashing steel and cacophonous chaos. Picture now the soldiers gathered in circles around their fires, tankards of ale or mead within easy grasp. These draughts, hearty and potent, served to dull the sharp pangs of fear, weaving the tenuous illusion of invulnerability, even as the horizon shivered under the shadow of looming combat. The rhythmic exchange of toasts echoes like an incantation, melding camaraderie with resolve as soldiers brace themselves for what morning may bring. For these warriors, inebriation delivered a form of transformation, turning men into legends by night, with tales told of valor and epic feats traded under starlit sky. Yet, as dawn's light crests over hill and armor gleams brightly, the sins of indulgence leave some reeling under its multifaceted weight. This ritual of substance before battle offers historians fertile ground over which to debate. How much of the courage-seeking consumption was tradition, and how much of it was mere necessity, bred from the harsh reality of warfare's demands? The answer remains obscured, a potent riddle entangled in the stories of wars won and lost. Imagine, too, the battlefield medical tents that offered other uses for nature's bounteous scene, where healers toil amidst injured men, hastily applying poultices of herbal concoctions meant to numb the clutches of pain. Under the watchful eye of the healer, slumber-inducing herbs like valerian and passion flower were dispensed to soothe the agony of broken bones and superficial wounds that defied quick healing. But consider this. In the grip of chaos, not every hand administering a dose did so with skilled intent. Challenges abounded when administering strong concoctions, each one a dance with inadvertent overindulgence that could swiftly turn cura into harm. Beyond individual skirmishes, consider the broader impact. Such reliance on substances imparted on warrior culture, both entwining relief in furrowed brows and unraveling worlds, while campaigns turned into rituals sculpted by drink. These traditions, meshed with zeal for conquest and human fallibility, painted warfare as a theatre where gallantry found itself unwound by intoxication. Take a moment, as soft wind pushes gently across the field, to dwell on these contradictory narratives, each one recounting fragments of courage and folly, each a reminder of the tenuous grip humans have on the fabric of their realities. Was a sip of heady ale more divine providence or whispered distraction? echoes ripple through time, offering glimpses of truth tangled in the splendor of myth. As the day yields to twilight, you turn your mind from thoughts of struggle your heart, ready to tread from the heartlands of blood and glory to the winding trails of trade, where Mesopotamian influences blend with European shores. The natural tapestry weaves on, emerging with stories where cultural connections craft new narratives amid possibility. Be resolute as you step forward on this path filled with perceptions, and let your soul brim with wanderlustry to catch the whispers of ancient trades that spill secrets upon the winds of antiquity. The journey holds strong, as old textures matter, unfurling anew within the corridors of time. As the echoes of clanging swords and the haunting cries of battle fade into memory, your journey leads you down the well-trodden paths of ancient trade routes. Here, in the soft light of dawn, where the smell of spice mixes with sea spray and the murmur of bustling port towns, you delve into the tapestry of Mesopotamian influences on medieval Europeans of trade and change that span vast distances and weave together cultures across continents. Imagine the vibrant tableau of a medieval market square, bustling with the frenetic energy of merchants hawking wares both exotic and familiar. The air is thick with the symphony of voices raised in barter, underpinned by the soft rustle of silk and the intoxicating aroma of spices. This is where the ancient worlds meet the pulse of Europe, quickening with the rhythm of far-off lands like Mesopotamia, a region rich in history and possibility. See the merchants of the day, their linen tunics sapphire and crimson, unloading goods from ships that have traveled through waters glittering with Mesopotamian sunlight. They bring not only tangible treasures to European shores, brilliant dyes, fragrant spices, luscious silks, but also whispers of Mesopotamian wisdom and practices. One can easily envision the exchange of not just goods but stories, narratives passed between traders under the cool shadows of awnings draped over the crowded stalls. Words passed in trust, speaking of remedies and concoctions learned in the shadow of ziggurats, ancient plant knowledge that travelers bring to enrich the gardens and apothecaries of medieval Europe. Consider ancient Mesopotamia, a cradle of civilization where the art of brewing beer and fermenting wine took its early forms, practices that would later enrich European traditions. From the Tigris and Euphrates came grains whose fermentation processes inspired variant brews now esteemed in distant lands. Every sip was an unspoken nod to shared heritages, blossoming under the influence of centuries-old experimentation. Historians still speculate on the tangible extent of Mesopotamia's influence, what parts of their alchemical wealth influenced the European consciousness to experiment outside conventional bounds. Was it the allure of their tales that spun curiosity, or was it purely goods exchange that paved such paths of integration? Picture a rustic European home, its hearth warmed by a modest fire, where herbalists, guardians of local lore, experiment by adding hints of cardamom or aniseed, newly acquired from distant services, to spirits traditionally crafted. They are curious weavers of possibility, creating potions that tantalize with sparks of foreign flavors, inviting the glow of shared histories. Venture deeper into this delicate exchange and find the crossover of medicinal wisdom. Mesopotamian texts, captured through language and trade, tickle European imagination, portraying remedies with frankincense and myrrh, savored alongside wild concoctions of theologians in stone abbeys. These manuscripts whisper of health beyond body-balancing spirit and essence, in a world where celestial guidance seemed just out of reach. As you step through echoes of culture, let the wry humor of bustling exchanges resonate with your being. Imagine the clever banter and exaggerated gesticulation between a Mesopotamian trader and his European counterpart, spinning tales of silk and silver, beads of shine, and potions untold. They are artisans of commerce and curiosity alike. With the golden hour of twilight descending to dust the horizon, you draw away from the intoxicating allure of these cross-continental threads that have stitched together a vibrant legacy. Through the medium of exchange, Mesopotamia imparts inspiration and evolution, welcoming infinite possibilities to the old world that is ever finding itself anew. The journey leads you now to the heart of Europe, where merchant wares unfurl with ever-increasing variety, and their collection and global contributions continue to shape the medieval landscape. So, with an eagerness reflective of the traders themselves, Let's explore the stories that dream of world-spanning connection, Siva, entwined within gardens of the mind and the marketplaces of earth. Carry forward, with eyes wide to the vistas yet unveiled, as the sun begins its descent, painting the sky in hues of warm gold and fiery orange. You find yourself drawn into the bustling heart of medieval European land, rich with the varied and vibrant influences that mark the merchant's collection. Here, global contributions unravel within the weave of time, where trade routes pulse like the lifeblood of cultures, and the marketplace becomes a stage upon which the drama of exchange unfolds. Picture a lively marketplace, alive with the sounds of haggling and laughter, the aroma of exotic spices tickling your senses. Merchants, with their colourful garb and ingenious allure, traverse pathways from far-flung empires, their satchels bursting with wares gathered from the corners of the known world. Silk from the Orient drapes luxury, metalwork from the Moors glints in the sun, and spices from India infuse the air with possibility. These traders, wanderers with hearts set on adventure and commerce, bring not only goods but also the veins of cultural osmosis. They are bridges between world's medieval Europe, and far beyond curating a collection that informs everything from cuisine to medicine, enhancing the very tapestry of life, with each new discovery imported along with vibrant stories. Imagine the European craftsman, inspired by such treasures. Artisans peer closely at detailed silk motifs, replicating patterns with their own spins into painted tapestries or intricate carvings. There's an undeniable enchantment in these cross-cultural encounters, where the unknown holds promises of innovation and excitement that inspire both creation and consumption. The introduction of complex spices like nutmeg and saffron revolutionizes European kitchens. Once bland fare bursts with flavor, tantalizing the taste buds and stirring the imaginations of cooks and courtiers. Even the simplest of meals gains a decadent twist of homage to lands whose sunlit fields and verdant groves are worlds apart. In the background, the influence seeped into medicine and wellness, drawing healers out of strictly local practices and encouraging the adoption of substances and techniques from abroad. Here, new remedies blend seamlessly with traditional European practices, giving birth to potent mixtures that soothe ailments and conjure a sense of wonder at nature's deep repository. Yarrow found its way into manuscripts alongside rue and frankincense, symbolic of a new era in healing that heralds a synthesis of worldwide contributions. These elements, both humble and grand, ride alongside silk and salt, a demonstration of their integral value to medieval well-being. Historians continue to reflect on the nature of this mercantile exchange, debating the philosophical shifts that accompanied such material influence. Did exposure to distant ideas foster greater openness to new teachings and perspectives, or were these goods confined within the high walls of the elite, cherished only by the privileged few? Consider a European apothecary, a veritable treasure trove bursting with tinctures and compounds that speak of distant lands, the shelves filled with echoes of diversity, and the whisper of continents across oceans. Take note of how the community gathers here to share stories, intimate transactions, where spices weigh equal to ideas, inspirations stirring from the Orient to the Occident. An ambience of enterprise and exploration permeates public consciousness, fostering a curiosity nourished by tales told around firesides, as well as those penned by literate travelers whose narratives flowed as freely as their caravans journeyed. Through their collective efforts, the merchant's collection becomes a legacy of the interconnectivity that defined the medieval tapestry. With twilight enfolding the market in its serene embrace, you pause, savouring the realization of how interconnected the world of medieval Europe was with its stories, not just those of stone castles and jousts, but of movement, connection, and creativity. Now, let your steps take you onward toward the unexpected transformations these exchanges inspired, illuminating how altered states fed art and innovation in the medieval world. As you continue, consider the brushes and hands that painted dreams onto the canvas of history, invigorated by the myriad elements of an ever-evolving world. The stories stretch onward, each crossroad brimming with untold revelations. The soft hues of the medieval sunset fade into a rich tapestry of twilight, guiding you toward spaces where unexpected transformations arise, where the tendrils of altered states and influences from far-off lands fuel art and innovation, sparking a creativity that illuminates the corridors of history with the glow of inspired minds. Picture a medieval artist, seated within the comforting clutter of his studio. Brushes in hand, he dips his tools into vibrant pigments, the colors derived from natural sources and exotic materials traded over winding paths. The heady aroma of linseed oil and varnish mingles with the delicate scent of rosewater. The artist's eyes are alight with vision, his soul fueled by the whispers of innovation brought by materials and methods from afar. See him lost in the play of shadow and light, guided by both his internal muse and the external influences of new dyes and techniques arriving with travelers and traders. His creation's intricate illuminations for sacred manuscripts, or expansive frescoes adorning chapel walls, reflect the ever-expanding world in which he resides. Each brushstroke is both a memory and a dream, grounded in a particular place yet reaching for the skies. The introduction of lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, once a rare commodity, grants blues a heavenly depth transcendent hues, breathing life into celestial robes or autumn skies. Silk threads weave nuanced embroidery, showcasing cultural narratives rich with symbolism, the result of knowledge exchanged over earthen plates and across languages barely understood. The world of music, too, finds itself woven into this fabric of transformation. Imagine you are in a cathedral, where the air vibrates with choral harmonies and the deep resonance of a newly crafted organ. These instruments, inspired by their Eastern cousins, bring forth notes that harmonize with the hum of centuries, lifting the spirit with melodies previously unimagined within these holy spaces. Historians still debate the contemporaneous and cumulative impact of these introductions on creativity. How much of the innovation stemmed purely from imported influences, and how much was born from the European creativity itself, eager to embrace and expand upon these gifts? Did the synthesis foster an altogether new direction within the arts, or merely embellish existing traditions with another layer? In workshops where alchemists dabbled, new recipes simmer atop rudimentary stoves, reflecting the munition of measures from nature and notion away to look beyond the tangible and explore the uncharted realms of inventive potential. It's here that the lines between artistry and experimentation blend, as visions born of altered states prompt novel interpretations of reality. Amid stone corridors and wooden stages, performance unfolds within ambient settings, redesigned by invigorated minds. Theatre troupes incorporate tales of far-off lands into their repertoire, enchanted by the mystique of narratives that dance at the edge of understanding. Perhaps these spectacles reflected too how audiences craved the thrill of new perceptions, with or without drafts and substances. Roaming the marketplace or the noble court, you discover that patrons host gatherings showcasing their troves of cultural delights. Awed visitors marvel at collected pieces, a modernist's cabinet of inquiry offering glimpses into realities yet explored and possibilities unfurled. Each piece, an opportunity to think anew, explore the adjacent possible in a realm of illuminated potential. Pause a moment, absorbing the life and energy pulsing within the creative outputs that surround you. These elements, be they paint or play, sound or story, are legacies of an era where the boundaries of thought and expression gracefully expanded, inviting generations to journey into enriched vistas of imagination and wonder. With night creeping softly over this vibrant mosaic of brilliance, you draw away from familiar visualization bounded by the unexpected, freed to follow your musings as they echo in unconventional bowers. Ahead lies the untamed capacity of the healer's tool where medicine and mind intersect, merging stories of care, discovery, and reflective practice. So stand ready to wander further, where the realms of sensory revelation continue to guide your tread, carrying forth one grand narrative that insists upon exploration. Let history buoy you as you navigate the tides of faith and curiosity ever unbounded. Under the moon's silvery glow, you journey into the serene domain of the healer's tool, where the intersection of medicine and mind thrived in medieval times. This realm, fragrant with herbs and alive with wisdom, explored the confluence of nature's bounty and human ingenuity, testament to managing body and spirit amidst life's constant trials. Imagine stepping into the warm, earthy atmosphere of a medieval apothecary. Shelves brimming with earthen jars and woven baskets greet the eye collections of dried herbs, vibrant petals, and carefully labeled vials that seem to whisper of secrets from across time and place. The aroma of sage and lavender intermingles with the sharper tang of rosemary and camphor, wrapping around you like a comforting embrace. Here dwells the healer, a figure revered and sought after for their deep understanding of the land's gifts. They are adept at concocting remedies for ailments physical and emotional alike, drawing from a tapestry of knowledge woven by nature and nurtured by ancestry. With skilled hands and an open mind, they bridge the tangible with the spiritual, offering solace in a world often harsh and demanding. Picture the healer carefully selecting a mortar and pestle, grinding chamomile flowers with a practiced rhythm, their gentle touch releasing the calming properties hidden within. This concoction, brewed into tea or concocted as a tincture, serves as a balm to soothe fretful minds, quelling anxiety with each fragrant sip. Historians still debate the balance struck by medieval healers between treating genuine illnesses and venturing into realms that bordered mystical intervention. Were their practices steeped in superstition, or did they embody an early form of holistic care aware of the mental state's influence on the physical body? Around the hearths of humble cottages and grand manors alike, the stories of cures, circulator tales of fevers, broken and restless spirits, eased by the careful hands of those wielding nature's bounty. Whispers of valerian root and slippery elm elevate the reputation of learned practitioners who took reverent paths on their journey of discovery. At times, their art spills into the supernatural, straddling treacherous terrain where therapeutic intent melded with mystery. Here, dreams are woven with the help of substances that blur reality's edge, offering visions and insights that might guide decisions and chart new possibilities for those burdened by earthly woes. The limits of knowledge expand over candlelit conversations, where healers trade observations and rare plants, adding diversity to the healer's palate. They experiment with newly arrived saffron or ginger, adjusting mixtures with a deftness born of experience and a willingness to explore the potent possibilities of each plant's properties. Others observe the human condition with an artistic lens, wherein altered states inspire beautiful tapestries of sound and sight expressions of an evolving consciousness unconstrained by the ordinary. It's within this blending of art and science that medieval Europe sometimes found new approaches, nurturing a fledgling sense of psychiatric exploration. Imagine healers collaborating with alchemists in experiments that document and promote innovative potables, each mix drawn closer toward a semblance of modern pharmacology. These efforts of amalgamation lead to whispers of new roots, prescribing solace through nature's gifts, and reshaping institutional boundaries of knowledge. In this space, herbal compounds not only mend bodies but inspire minds towards transcendence. With faith in subtle transformations and communion with the earth, practitioners push the understanding of self-care beyond mere survival, informing a connection that spans form and philosophy. As the essence of lavender blooms in the cool night air, you depart from this haven of medicinal wisdom, bearing the marks of a civilization deeply entangled with its natural world. You leave aware of the enduring spirit these practitioners embody, pioneers of a practice that echoes in today's holistic approaches, enlightening common pathways with transformative brilliance. With each step forward, let the glow of discovery illuminate your way, embracing debates of mind versus morality. Such queries probe the heart of historical ambiguity and philosophical mystery, readying you to navigate once more where humanity's dreams and realities entwine. Thus armed, brace your soul for unfolding wisdom, where each learning promises both gain and reflection. As the serene world of medieval healers gently fades behind you, your path now leads you into the intellectual and ethical crossroads, where debates in practice unfold the age-old contention between mind versus morality. This is where the minds of the medieval world grappled with profound questions about consciousness, ethics, and the emergent awareness of the self within society's intricate moral tapestry. Imagine entering a grand hall of debate, its vaulted ceilings echoing with the murmur of scholars and clerics engaged in spirited dialectics. They gather in clusters around heavy wooden tables, illuminated by the soft glow of candlelight. Their discussions bridge the realms of philosophy and reality, where the question of ethical indulgence in the altering of consciousness forms a focal point of intellectual inquiry. On one side of the room, you notice the faces of learned theologians, their expressions serious, as they ponder the age-old balance between divine intention and human agency. For them, the act of consuming mind-altering substances teeters upon the edge of temptation and virtue, a complex dialogue rooted in the tenuous relationship between soul, self, and enlightenment. Historians still argue about how much the Church influenced these debates, but it's clear they played a critical role. The Church aimed to maintain a righteous path, concerned that the indulgence of earthly pleasures might draw the faithful away from their spiritual quest. Their critiques are measured and thoughtful, recognizing the fine line where exploration meets hubris, where curiosity tips into excess. Across the room, scholars of a different kind ponder the fruits of human curiosity and resilience. They challenge whether the pursuit of altered states might instead be a way to access deeper truths, a search for understanding that transcends the ordinary limits of perception. Could intoxication offer a glimpse into the mind's hidden landscapes, serving as a tool for discovery rather than an indulgence to be feared? Imagine the impassioned discoursalata blending with earnest confessions of visions found in the midst of nature's embrace, provocations met with scholarly wit. Through the haze of frankincense and murmured incantations, the participants proposed that all of existence wears a garment of mystery that might be glimpsed, even touched, when the veil is thin. To illuminate their points, they recall stories of saints and mystics figures who achieved divine insight through fervent mysticism. Their narratives spark curiosity in their listeners, weaving through the room with a choral-like cadence, inspiring wonder of the soul's potential for reaching beyond mundane borders. The debate swells in importance, stoking fires of philosophical and theological curiosity that urge deeper examination of the measures that define morality. The question shifts subtly. Is it moral to explore the depths of human consciousness if the potential for enlightenment exists within? Or does the danger of deviation from morality threaten the essence of societal harmony? As the debate sways back and forth, an unspoken agreement seems to arise, an understanding that perhaps the answer, as elusive as the stars, lies somewhere in between, that the act itself holds no inherent moral value, but rather the intention and consequence shape its merit. Picture a scholar, quill in hand, capturing these discussions on parchmenta, meticulous chronicle of minds, meeting on fields of inquiry, old as time, their ink sketches dialogues that, unbeknownst to them, will echo into times present, inspiring generations to continue questioning the marrow of human experience. Stepping away from these discourses, filled with questions as open as the night sky, you transition towards the next landscape, where the tangible risks of indulgence unfold. The dangers involved invite an examination of real risks, where both physical and societal consequences await those who seek escape. History's pulse thrums steadily along your path, urging you onward, a guide through the labyrinth of humanity's perpetual exploration. As the intellectual debates of medieval scholars and theologians fade into the background, you now tread into the shadowy periphery where the dangers involved loom with solemnity. Here, both physical and societal risks stalk the unwary who seek solace or adventure in the altered states of consciousness, revealing the ancient gamble between escapism and peril. In the early morning light, imagine a narrow alleyway in a quiet village, where the placid facade belies the lurking dangers of misuse. The air is heavy with the scent of damp stone and rustic herbs, carrying with it tales of those who ventured too close to the precipice in pursuit of transcendence, only to be consumed by the abyss that lay beyond. Within this dimly lit stage, you witness stories unfolding of those who misjudged the balancier, cautionary parade of caution and consequence. The pursuit of altered reality often leads to unforeseen paths where expectation meets danger, and the gentle caress of euphoria can swiftly transform into a vice-like grip of dependency or chaos. Consider the prudent warning of the apothecaries and herbalists who, despite their knowledge, were not immune to error. A single mismeasure of potent belladonna, or the use of an ill-understood fungus like ergot, could tip the scales from remedy to ruiner, stark reminder that nature's gifts, while generous, must be wielded with respect and care. Imagine, too, the societal ramifications: loose whispers in taverns of opportunistic fingers, spinning tales of witchcraft and heresy from mere experimentation. For those caught in the crosshairs of rumour and misunderstanding, the societal cost was often as dire as any physical ailment. Women, particularly those skilled in the herbal arts, found themselves under suspicion, their wisdom a double-edged sword in a world teetering between enlightenment and fear. Historians still argue about the scale of these dangers, questioning whether they were amplified by superstition or grounded in frequent occurrences. Were stories of madness and decline prevalent outliers, or did they paint the shadowed corners of a broader, unwritten narrative? Glancing at medieval chronicles and court records, you notice the accounts of those whose indulgence in alcohol or other substances led them astray in public life, jeopardizing not only their reputations, but their very existence within their communities. The tales told of drunken brawls, spiraling into tragic ends, and the eventual societal censure that often followed are as cautionary as they are tragic. Picture wandering minstrels who capture such tales in ballad songs carried by the night winds that speak of folly and downfall. Their cautionary verses serve as both entertainment and edification, painting the consequences of overindulgence with the clarity of moonlit reflection. These narratives resonate through time, a poignant reminder of how quickly joy can turn to despair when the edge is crossed. Standing amidst these stories and their echoed warnings, reflect upon those whose quest for altered states left them isolated, misunderstood, or lost to history's margins. Yet, even as these dangers posed formidable threats, they also underscore the allure of the experiences, sought a dance with discovery that transcends fear. As the light about you softens into evening's gentle embrace, linger on these lessons that underscore the heart of human desire to explore, understand, and sometimes transcend life's harsher facets. Accept that although the exploration of consciousness bears undeniable risks, it also whispers of profound insight and beauty, if navigated with wisdom. Your journey beckons onward, connecting the strings of past endeavors with the present's echoes. Ahead lies the modern echo of medieval habits that journey across time and impact today's culture. As you step forward, carry the tales of both danger and discovery within you, woven upon winds of history, ever ready to unveil new secrets in expectation of the revelations yet to come. As twilight blankets the medieval past, your journey weaves into the present where the modern echo resounds reverberations of medieval habits today, shaping the landscapes of contemporary altered states and cultural practices. Here, past and present converge, revealing how ancient traditions whisper through the corridors of time to influence today's world. Picture yourself in a modern apothecary, echoes of the past reverberating within its walls, where shelves swell with essential oils, tinctures, and dried herbs. The organic essence of lavender and sandalwood fills the air, mingling with the scent of freshly brewed herbal teas. It marks a resurgency nod to ancient herbalists who laid the groundwork for holistic therapies that have returned to favor alongside modern medicine. Observe the seekers of today, kaleidoscope of individuals pursuing mindfulness and balance through practices hailing back to times medieval. Yoga mats spread out in sun-dappled parks parallel the medieval communes of spiritual exploration. Modern-day seekers harness meditation and adaptogens in quest of clarity, awareness, or relief, a continuum of humanity's tireless quest for tranquility and understanding. Imagine the surge of interest in natural remedies mirrored in the growing fascination with substances that alter states of consciousness. Just as medieval people gathered sage or chamomile for their effects, today's enthusiasts explore CBD oils and herbal supplements, eager to embrace the wisdom nature imparts. The ancient art of tincture making finds revival in sleek glass bottles lined on health store shelves, nodding to past traditions with a modern twist. In another corner of contemporary culture, the craft beer and distillery scenes thrive. Modern echoes of monastery brews, where enthusiasts experiment with flavors and techniques. These artisans retrace medieval roots, infusing their creations with saffron, elderflower, or juniper, blending history with innovation in each frothy pour or distilled drop. Historians debate how much of today's substance use is homage to the past versus innovation for potential new futures? Do these practices signify a romanticized longing for ancient wisdom, or are they genuine evolutions in our approach to mind and body care? Consider art and creativity a realm consistently informed by altered states. Modern artists find inspiration in the same muse-driven reverie that medieval counterparts sought through ritual and reverie. By experimenting with perception and consciousness, they explore boundaries and create works that challenge, enlighten, and transcend. The fleeting muses of the past echo within the canvas of today's innovationa, linked to the storied rituals of artisans long ago. Moreover, the digital age connects this trove of medieval wisdom with an eager global community. Online platforms share knowledge of traditional herbs and the spiritual potency of plants worldwide, fostering a renaissance of shared interest in ancient practices among diverse populations. These exchanges broaden the landscape, much like medieval traders exchanged more than goods-exchanging ideas that continue to shape social consciousness. Even the concept of a gathering place, a forum like the old village inns, finds modern parallel in virtual spaces where like-minded seekers connect. These online enclaves allow discussions encompassing mental wellness, experimental creativity, and the celebration of nature-derived wisdom. Modern tavern teeming with digital scribes, reliving a timeless tradition. As day fades into the embrace of night and each discovery brings richer understanding, let this exploration reveal how the echoes of medieval habits forge pathways into modern consciousness. A vibrant continuum of shared human experience, where the quest for understanding remains undimmed by the passing of centuries. The journey carries you forward, into the realm where lessons from the past await reflection, where the cyclical dance of wisdom or foolishness offers perspective, challenging assumptions and celebrating time's enduring narrative. Draw upon these stories and teachings, steadfast in the knowledge that exploration, renewal, and self-discovery are unending dialogues that connect every soul that walks this shared path. With the echoes of ancient practices threading through the backdrop of your journey, you find yourself stepping into a reflective space where the lessons from the past unfold. In this delicate interface between ages, the perpetual dance of wisdom or foolishness invites contemplation, emerging as a canvas upon which medieval experiences cast their nuanced shadows and guiding light upon contemporary lives. Imagine a quiet study, walls lined with shelves of musty tomes and artifacts, gently illuminated by soft candlelight. Within these bindings lie chronicles of humanity's attempts to navigate the balance between the mundane constraints of life and the boundless possibilities sought through altered states. Each page tells of triumphs and missteps, wisdom gleaned from mistakes taken to be lessons etched by time's unfaltering hand. As you leaf through these pages, consider the stories from the myriad of paths trodden by medieval people, bearing wisdom as gentle as the amber glow that extends over the room. Within these narratives, the earnest pursuit of understanding found within gardens of herbs, the revelry of feasts, or the solemnity of mystical rites continues its resonance today. Echoes from the past caution modern adventurers against the excess touted in bygone tales, while urging the exploration of mindful engagement where genuine insight resides. Historians of today still debate the effectiveness of medieval approaches to psychoactive substance as an inquiry prompted by enduring questions. Were the explorations rooted in wisdom, harnessing tools for genuine enhancement and insight, or did they drift into folly, a warning of distraction on humanity's traversed paths? Reflect upon the perennial relevance of moderation, a theme resounding through the ages. Medieval teachings implore seekers everywhere to navigate the delicate juncture where pleasure and understanding interlace, urging a path of balanced indulgence lined by the principles of respect and humility. Picture a medieval healer, their wisdom profoundly impacting the current revival of traditional herbalism. Their humble workshops whispers to today's herbalist crafting essential oils with ancestral techniques, revealing the vibrant ongoing dialogue between past practices and present innovations. Ancient patterns reaffirm contemporary values of sustainability, community, and holistic care. Consider, too, the role of medieval artisans who allowed substances to carry their visions into vivid expressions, gifts of paints and symphonies that continue to expand human consciousness. Their legacies adorn today's galleries, concert halls, and digital landscapes, inviting each new generation to engage with creativity unfettered by the limitations of their time. Even the concept of shared space, a crucible for exploring substance and community, persists as a symbol of collective journey, connecting pilgrims of old with modern seekers. These spaces act as vibrant milieus for wisdom-sharing echoing taverns, abbey libraries, and communal hearths repurposed in today's interconnected world. As the candle's flame flickers with stories from earlier ages, the embers of medieval wisdom glow through time's veils, capturing the myriad tales of those who sought understanding through altered states. Their narratives summon you to explore life's greater tapestry with intention and respect, ever dissecting the titration between wisdom and whim. As you step away from this sanctuary of reflection, embrace the gifts and guidance these ancient tales offer, preparing for the journey's gentle conclusione, serene winding down meant to cradle you softly towards sleep. Here, amidst the lessons gleaned from history's intricate layers, wisdom and foolishness converge in a timeless dance. Your path now leads you to the threshold of Sleeper Haven, where the tapestry of history woven into your journey unfolds with a gentle whisper, cradle you towards slumber's embrace. With the presence of lessons cherished, newfound curiosities seeds a restful mind, gently watered by the echoes of those who tread similar paths long ago. So, release the day's momentum. Let the cadence of breathing lullaby carry you into the world beyond waking ever, open to life's enduring exploration. As the passage draws to a close, may the dream's gentle currents weave through your mind, echoing with history's somber, peaceful symphony that surrounds as you drift softly, sweetly, into the cocoon of sleep. As the final hues of twilight gently fold into the embrace of night, drawing shadows of history into the present moment, you step forward into the long drift to sleep. Here, the stories of medieval exploration, both exhilarating and perilous, cradle you, their rhythms soothing as they guide you toward rest, weaving peace within the intricate tapestry of your thoughts. The night is calm now, the air softened with the subtle scent of lavender and chamomile, echoes of ancient herbal blessings that have endured through time. Under the gentle watch of a star-studded sky, you let the burdens of the day dissolve into the cool ether, trusting the lessons of old to enfold you in tranquility. The narratives that carried you through vibrations of medieval laughter and wisdom now whisper like a distant lullaby, promising respite. Imagine yourself in a tranquil room, the walls lined with gentle shadows cast by a single flickering candle. The flame dances lazily, casting mellow patterns across the ceiling. A gentle breeze stirs the curtains, carrying with it the earthy richness of night's embrace, the defined scent of soil mingled with the distant hint of wildflowers in bloom, reminiscent of fertile fields tended long ago by hands searching both earth and sky for answers. With each steady breath, you feel the tension of the day unravel, each exhale a sigh that mingles with the night air, releasing what was and opening pathways to restorative reprieve. The cadence of medieval tales still hums quietly, a gentle stream of murmurs weaving through the silver threads of your consciousness, inviting deep rest. Picture the faces of those whose narratives accompanied you on this journey, herbalists and mystics, scholars and seekers each, offering their story as a gentle guide toward introspection and serenity. With their guidance, allow your mind's eye to sketch kindly horizons where wisdom gently greets curiosity, and the passage of time becomes an old friend whispering comfort. In the silence that wraps gently around you, the questions and explorations ventured become a hushed melodione, where echoes turn into dreams and dreams into silent understanding. Let stillness hold your spirit in its tender cradle, swaying softly between celestial threads, where breath and cosmos mingle effortlessly. And now, in these final moments, release yourself into the embrace of your own eternal guardian of sleep's refugia, place where history, in all its gentle grace and mystery, joins the murmur of peaceful waters, inviting you to float away into the sanctuary of slumber's realm. Let the heartbeats of life and dreams blend seamlessly, carrying you across the tranquil seas of night. May your journey's end be but a pause eye closed, as stars wheel kindly overhead, and the soft earth of comforting dreams receives you. In this cocoon of timelessness, may solace and softness greet every corner of your soul, glowing with the lantern light of a simple truth, that journeys reveal as much about the heart as the world that holds them. With this soft invocation, take comfort in the rhythm of your journey's pulse as it carries you gently forward into the dreamy embrace of peaceful sleep. Rest easy, dear traveler, as night's enduring embrace invites you warmly into its fold. Sweet dreams.